Hi everyone, it's Tiffany from Daisy Farm Crafts, and today I'm going to do a tutorial for my latest blanket that I made for my daughter Annie's bedrooms, kind of like as a bed scarf to go across the bottom of her bed. So it's kind of narrow, but long, but of course you can adjust this and make it any size. Super colorful, really nice herringbone stitched chevron. So anyway, let's get started. Okay, let's go over the colors that I used. Of course, I am using my favorite acrylic, Caron Simply Soft, which is really nice and easy to work with, using a Susan Bates hook. I do recommend using the Susan Bates, because it grabs the yarn pretty good. And I'm using a 5mm H hook. So the colors that I've used, this is Ocean, Soft Blue, Light Country Peach, Persimmon, Soft Pink, and Gold. And that's it. I use these 6 colors. So like I was saying, the blanket is really long. It's almost 68 inches long. And that is doing 3 repeats of the color. So for me, each repeat is about 22 inches. So you could only just do 2 repeats and make this a nice 30 by 42 inch blanket, or make the starting chain a little bit wider and you can get it into a square. So anyway, lots of options. Of course, everything will be listed in the written pattern that will be on our website, daisyfarmcrafts.com. Well, let's begin with making 58 chains. And so the pattern repeat for this particular chevron is going to be 28 times any number plus 2. I've kind of altered my original chevron pattern just a little bit. Since we're going to be doing those strategic color changes with the white and the color. So anyway, 58 chains, that is multiplying 28 times 2, and then I'm adding 2. And that's just for this sample. For my blanket, I had multiplied 28 times 5 and then added 2, and I started with 142 chains. So 142 chains, if you're using an H hook with this particular acrylic, will get you about 30 inches width of blanket. So just keep that in mind, that if you want it even wider, you're going to want to multiply your 28 times 6 or times 7 and go a little bit bigger. So anyway, okay, let's make sure we have 58 chains. So we're going to begin by working in the second chain from the hook. And we will start with a herringbone 2 together. So yarn over, insert your hook underneath the loop of that second chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then pull through just that first loop on the hook. Then yarn over and insert your hook into the next chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then just pull through the first loop. Then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. That's a herringbone 2 together. Now let's just work a regular herringbone half double crochet into each of the next 12 stitches. So this herringbone stitch is a little bit different than double crochet, where you are pulling through just the first loop on the hook, then yarning over and pulling through 2. So a herringbone half double crochet, you yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, and continue pulling through the first loop on the hook. Then yarn over and pull through both loops. That is the herringbone half. A herringbone double crochet would be if we would just pull through one loop before pulling through two. So this is herringbone half double crochet. So one herringbone in each of the next 12 stitches. Now when we get going with the color, you'll see how we're going to do our color changes so that these 12 stitches will just be done in color, and then the stitches that make the peak and the valley will be done in white. So it kind of helps you keep the counting going just a little bit easier by using these color changes. Okay, this is my 12th herringbone. And so into this next stitch, we will work 3 herringbone all into that same peak, because that is how we'll make that peak up there. So adding 3 stitches right into there, all into the same spot. Kind of makes a little hole there. Now 12 all the way down to the valley. Now in order to do the valley, we're going to do a herringbone 3 together. So yarn over, we're going to work the herringbone stitch across the next 3 chains. So insert your hook, just work that first loop, yarn over again, insert your hook into the next chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, and just pull through that first loop. And let's do that one more time. It's kind of like just working half of the stitch, just like that. So we kind of get these little loops around the bottom. Then pull through all 4 loops on your hook. And that will combine those all into one stitch and give us that cute little valley at the bottom. And like I say, after we do 2 rows of white, that will, we'll be switching back to the color. So just these stitches down there, that's how we get the lines in that blanket to look like lines. So just the peaks and the valleys are worked in white, and then the sides are worked in the color. Okay, so work your way right back up to the peak and back down, and I'll meet you at the end of the row where we will work 2 herringbone stitches together, just like we did at the beginning of the row. Okay, so here's what we have so far. Is we've worked our 2 together, 12 stitches, 3 into the peak, 12 stitches, 3 together, and then we repeated that, and at the end of this we should have 2 stitches left. And in here we will work the 2 herringbone half double crochets together. Pull through. Now only chain 1 and then turn your work. And let's repeat this one more time. So just your first 2 rows of the blanket will be worked in white. So let's repeat that same pattern. Herringbone 2 together at the first, across those first 2 stitches. And I am working underneath both of the V's. So go ahead and insert your hook underneath both of those V's. And now work 12 up to the peak. And in that peak, work 3 herringbone stitches. Now, one thing I am doing that might help you, I don't know if you can notice as I'm working this, and of course it depends on how you hold the yarn, But one thing that's helping me is that I kind of come in here and I pinch right here so I can make sure I get that first loop, because I know it is a little bit tricky, and you got to really twist that hook a lot. That's why I am recommending this Susan Bates hook, even for herringbone, because you can really, it grabs that yarn in order to grab that first loop. So just do some practice with it, with this stitch, but it's just such a pretty stitch. I really, really like it. Okay, there's our 12. And now I'm right at the peak, which should be the middle stitch of those 3 from the row below. That's how you'll know you got your counting right. And I work 3 in there. Now I'll work down 12, and then I'll work the herringbone 3 together across that bottom. Okay, I've worked my 12 all the way down to the peak there. And here we go, working the, oh, whoops. Gotta finish this stitch. I'm used to switching colors here. Okay, there's number 12. Now let's work 3 across the bottom. Working those 3 together. All right, I think you've got this part. I will meet you back at the end of the row where we're going to do our first color, which will be gold. Okay, let's turn our work here at the end of the row. Here's my final 2 herringbone togethers at the end of the row. Go ahead and chain 1 and turn with the white, and then we'll introduce our first color. Let's work the first 2 herringbone 2 together in the white. So there's 1, here's 2, and then pull this white to the front and grab your color and just simply lay it over the hook and pull through. Now, for this blanket, I do suggest that you keep the color to the right side of your when you're sitting on the couch or something, keep the color on the right, the white on the left. It'll make it really easy for turning the blanket. Okay, now we're gonna work over this white. Bring it along with us. Now work your next 12 in the gold. Now here's another thing I'm going to suggest that you do is, and I wish I would have done it, but I think this blanket kind of lends itself, and you can do this. Go ahead and crochet over this tail. We're going to save you a little bit on weaving in the ends for just this one specifically. I mean, just at least this tail. The other one you won't be able to carry. Maybe you could. No, I think you will be able to. Okay, so we're going to crochet over these ends. I'm going to hopefully try and help you save some time from weaving in the ends. So work a few, just going over both of them, but like about this 4th stitch, yarn over and pull the tail and the yarn back through with you if you can. It's a little bit tricky, but at least get it pulled through right there and then finish the stitches normal. That will kind of help secure that tail from slipping free. because you don't ever just want to crochet straight over the ends because they will just slip right out. You kind of want to weave them through the stitches just like you would be weaving through with a tapestry needle. So do that a couple times. Okay, so like I just worked 2 more regular stitches. So yarn over, insert your hook, and kind of grab that tail along with you when you're pulling up. So do you see how I have that wrapped around? And then just get that to go through there. And it just still disguises it. You don't really see it as you go. If you can do that about 2 times, you've got your tails woven in and you're doing pretty good. So then the rest of the time you can just crochet over them. That will save you so much time on the end. But if it's too complicated and you don't want to do that, please don't, by all means. So like I've got it in enough, then I can just leave this. Okay, here is my 12th stitch. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Done. Keep the color to the back. Pull through with the white. Now bring the color back around because we need to crochet over it. Bring it along with us. While we make those 3 herringbones at the top. In this 3rd one, put the white forward, pull through with the gold, and now crochet over the white. So the 12 stitches in between the peaks and the valley are color. And of course, like I said, the color sequence, more details like that will all be on our website. And if you're only seeing this on YouTube, the link to the pattern is down in the comment box or description. You have to look for that teeny tiny little triangle and open up that box, and then that's where the link will be. Okay, I'm working my way down to the valley. And on that 12th herringbone stitch, I'm going to keep the color to the back. And if it's sitting over on the right side of me, you kind of can keep it over that way. Then pull through with the white. Make sure you do, you'll get into a rhythm and it won't be so bad. Here's our gold. We got to crochet over it. Bring it with us. Let's work those 3 herringbone together. Get the white to the front. This is going to keep your yarn separate and it won't twist. There you go. Pull through. Are you getting the hang of this? It's not so bad. And I really did enjoy that. It kind of really helped me keep track of the counting. And I actually ended up not having to count so much because I knew that the 12 were in color, and then the white were the 3 at the top and the 3 at the bottom, and 2 at the end. It's kind of how I started thinking about this blanket. Oh, another thing that the color possibilities are endless. And I know you guys will surprise us and show us so many cool color combinations if you make this blanket. So beautiful. Here we go. That's number 12. Another question I get a lot is that I wanted to kind of talk about while I'm doing this is am I wasting yarn by doing this? And I would like to, if that's what you're thinking, if you had that question pop into your head, hey, why is she crocheting over all of this white? Well, first of all, in order to achieve the look of this pattern, you would be using probably the same amount of yarn if you cut and, didn't weave over, cut for each color change, then you'd still be weaving in so many ends. So in order to achieve this look for this blanket, yes, crocheting over it, I consider is not a waste at all. I don't mind the extra running through the blanket, especially with Caron Simply Soft. It just seems to add a little bit more density to the blanket, and it's okay. Keep your tension just loose enough. Now, you don't want to, if this H hook is a little bit too small for you, go up a size. You don't want it to be, tight like a bath mat or something. Keep your tension nice and even and loose. But no, I don't consider it wasting yarn. Plus, another thing that I consider yarn like my art supply. And if I was painting a picture, there's always going to be leftover paint or things that you don't use all of the art supply. So I just choose to use it in this way, and I like to carry it and get all these beautiful color changes. So one thing else, okay, one thing I did before I turned, you drop the color. You don't have to crochet over the color for the final 2 stitches. Just work those 2 herringbone stitches together at the end of the blanket. We'll pick that right back up after we've turned, because we don't want the color wrapping around the end. We are leaving the ends just all white. So now it'll be ready for me to pick up after I do the first 2 stitches together. Okay, and I still just kind of leave that. One other thing I do have to do, if you've left it to this side, just kind of wrap it around, get it over there. Then pull through. So you'll see this little, but that won't be that bad. Go underneath your white. That's how it should look. And now you're really home free, because you can just match the colors. And this is what I was saying. I didn't even have to count, because you just knew. If you got that first base row of all your colors with the correct counting, just match your colors as you work. Now, I chose to work 6 rows of color with 2 rows of all white in between. So we started with 2 rows of white. I'm going to work 6 rows with a color change, and then separate it by just 2 rows of all white. Now, I'm not even seeing, another thing, give that white just a little bit of a tug, especially before you change colors. I'm not seeing it. I mean, I can see it just barely peeking through the row. But I think this herringbone stitch does a nice job locking the color down, because you kind of get that lock right there. Now, the 12th stitch will be into the top of one of the white ones, because remember, we're just working the white right into the peak middle stitch. So keep your gold to the back, pull through with white. One, 2, 3. White to the front, pull up with the gold. This first stitch will be into a white right there. And now work on down. The opposite is true when you get to the bottom. You're going to have a gold, a white, a gold. Work those three together. Okay, keep your gold to the back. Pull through with the white. Let's work those three together. There we go. Get those there. Pull that white to the front before you pull through with the gold. And then start working your way up. Okay, I'm working my way back to the end, and remember that tail that we were trying to, that we were crocheting over. Another thing to do is after you've left it, go ahead and just bring it on up to the next row and crochet over it. The point is to try and, at least be able to crochet over it a couple different directions, and then it will stay very nice for you. So I'm just crocheting it up into that next row. And of course, I thought of this pretty much on the second to the last row of the whole blanket. So luckily Hannah was in town and she helped me weave in all the ends, but my word, why did I not think of this? So kind of works out perfect. Not every blanket has the ability to do this, but this worked out. So I feel like my end is pretty secure there. And of course, whatever hangs out, I'll just kind of clip. Okay, this is the 12th stitch because the last two, one will be gold and one will be white. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 9, yeah, 12. Just double checking. And again, like I said, leave the gold out for when you're going to turn the ends of the blanket. Chain 1 and turn. Voila. Get going again. So the first 2 stitches, work in white, bring this gold around, and you're off and running. Gonna do the same exact thing. Now this time you don't even have to worry about an end, and you'll be great. Okay. So let me review the color changes in case you want to do exactly how I did. I started with the gold, then I did the pink, persimmon, light country peach, soft blue, and ocean are the colors that we used. And then I just repeated it. And like I say, this is going to be for the end of her blanket, or end of her bed. I definitely will share pictures. You can go look at more pictures on the website, on Instagram, wherever. So I am not doing any sort of a border. I figured I've got the 2 stitches here on the side, the 2 rows below, and we're good. But I can definitely see this as a really, really cute baby blanket. Especially, honestly, I'd love to redo this again for like a forest look and do them all in the greens. I think this would be really cute for a baby nursery. But anyway, lots of ideas. I know you guys will come up with them. So hopefully I've explained the pattern well enough. If you need a free printable, it will be on our website. Look for the herringbone chevron bed scarf pattern. All right, you guys, have a wonderful day.